No, that's fine.
Here we go. Here we go. Yeah. So this might be actually a good topic to talk about because what you're obviously bored shitless of being ill for 5 weeks.
Yes.
Do you feel ADHD affects how you experience being ill?
Yeah, I can't yeah. Well, I don't know if it does because it's just the way I have always been. So I don't know. Maybe
Okay.
I kind of assume it's ADHD, but yeah, it drives Joe's my husband, for those watching, drives him up the wall because he's like, can you not just rest? And I'm like, no, it's really fucking boring. And so
Yeah,
and I will try so last week, sorry, there's going to be a lot of that.
that's okay.
So last week I basically cancelled most of my calls and all of my networking and stuff because I can't get through a sentence without coughing. And I really took it easy. And instead of doing nothing, I had shorter days, but I was like, right, instead of trying to do my normal 55 things at once, I'm going to really focus on getting one thing done. I'm going to do my daily emails and I'm going to make some lead magnets and I'm not going to worry about anything else. And I found that was helpful.
Right.
So
Okay.
rather than just do nothing under a blanket, because I just can't, I can do that for a couple of hours and then I can't, I can't do that. I definitely can't do it for days in a row. So rather than kind of do that, I found that actually that was quite restful. But I haven't been to the gym in weeks. I have been training on the trapeze and stuff a little bit, but again, I'm kind of, because the doctor said, just because I was like, can I exercise? And he said, you can do whatever you feel that you can do, that your body can do. So I've kind of been doing that. But yeah, it's just, I don't know if that answers your question. I don't know. I can't rest.
Yeah. But it's interesting how not being able to exercise might affect how you feel. Because I've had lots of colds recently. Thankfully, feeling really good at the moment. But in probably the last 6 months, I've had quite a few colds, and not being able to go to the gym, makes me feel itchy inside. I really don't like not being able to exercise. And if you're in a regular habit of it, I guess it would be affecting you definitely, that you're not able to do all the things.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is, and I think this is a very ADHD thing as well, is I'm very all or nothing. So I get, when I can't go to the gym, I was doing really well with my deadlift gains and I got up to 90 kilos, which is way cool. Yeah. And I got there quite quickly because I've already got quite a high base level of strength. But I don't know what I'm going to be able to lift when I get back now. So now my brain's like, well, there's just no point. And I know that's stupid, but it's really all or nothing. So I'm like, well, what if I can never go back to the gym? Which is ridiculous. Of course I'll be able to go back to the gym, but it's I find that that's another thing. And then I get anxious about that. And I'm like, why am I worrying about something that I know is not even true? And yet my brain is choosing to worry about it anyway. And it's what is this bullshit?
Yes, exactly. You know what? This is something that I regularly think to myself, is that I've had years and years of coaching training. I've been qualified to be a coach for 16 years, and I was always studying psychology and personal development before then. And so I feel that I'm quite well placed to notice when I'm being excessively hard on myself or being very black and white. And sometimes it takes me a little while to notice what I'm doing to myself. Very much like you, when I go back to the gym after a period off, I'm like, well, this is fucking depressing because I've made all those gains and now I'm gone backwards again, and what's the point? And I have to really notice what I'm doing. And then I have to say to myself things like, okay, what can I enjoy doing today? Even if it's completely different, how can I just get myself back into loving exercise and doing something nice? And sometimes it might be something as simple as I'm lucky enough to have a Peloton, and I can choose from various different video classes, things like some perhaps more gentle strength training or yoga or a little bit of cardio or even a little bit of a dance a dance class, something like that, I almost have to get myself going again by doing something completely different, and giving myself permission to do that, and not beating myself up for the fact that I've lost my gains, or lost momentum on a certain program I was following.
Yeah, that's really interesting. You should say that, actually, because I've made myself get up at 5:45 every morning, as I have been, partly because I do my power hours at 7 a.m. anyway, so I have to be up. But like, rather than kind of be like, oh, I'm just gonna stay in bed until like 10 to 7 and do it from the sofa or whatever, I've gone out for my morning run, which for the last few weeks has really been more of a walk. Because I can't, like, I get like a few steps down the road and then I throw up in a hedge. So
No.
that's fun. And then I've come back, and if I haven't felt like it, if the weather's been shit, I've come, because I always do my run and then my yoga in my office. So I've been doing that like first thing every morning, which has helped. So I've not done nothing. But yeah, it's the black and white thinking. And just like I've noticed, like, it's not exercises. I know, we'll probably get letters now, but like, there is nothing better for your mental health than exercise. Like, I don't care what I say, I don't care. I care about everybody's mental health, but it's like, it doesn't matter what you've got. Exercise will never not help. Like, it's like fresh air will never not help. And it's like, I'm not sitting here saying, oh, it's the only thing you need, don't take your meds or anything like that. Take your meds, do blah. But like, I have really noticed the last few weeks that my just been really sad, and it's like partly because I'm so bored of being ill, and being ill does make you a bit sad, but also because the exercise thing, like, I haven't been able to do the things that I wanted to do. And I've also noticed that I must have subconsciously, because I haven't really been on Instagram for ages, and it's because that makes me sad anyway for a lot of reasons, but it's just like I've stepped back quite a lot from social media as well, because I was just like, I don't need that toxic waste in my brain. And so but yeah, it's just really, really interesting.
Yeah. And the thrust behind these videos are always like, okay, ADHD is a thing, but what can we do about it? One of the questions that can be very healthy to ask yourself is, what's good about this? Because I can totally understand your frustration of not being able to do all the things you wanted to do, but are there any things now that you sometimes don't do, that you now have a bit of time for, that you need to be in the peace and quiet and relaxed to do? I don't know if it's reading a book that you've been meaning to do for a while or something like that.
That is a really good point, actually, because on Saturday, it was Joe's brother's birthday outing, and they all went zip lining in Wales and crabbing, and I was supposed to be going as well, and I didn't, because like, I can't do anything without coughing my guts up, literally. And so I spent like the first half hour on Saturday morning just having a bit of a cry and feeling really sorry for myself, because I was really looking forward to a day out. And then I was like, well, you know what? I can spend the day on the sofa under a blanket, and I can't do nothing because I can't do that. And I did pop into town because I had to get a few bits and pieces, and I got myself a really fancy, the world's most fucking expensive croissant, £3.50.
Woo! Wow! Was it gold leaf plated, or?
It was black cherry and almond, and it was actually delicious. It was like really stuffed full of filling as well. It wasn't like, anyway, nice. So I got myself that, and I had a cup of tea, and I got under my blanket, and I read my trashy Sophie Kinsella book. I love a bit of Sophie Kinsella. Brilliant. And I was just like, this is okay. And then I repotted some cactuses, and then I got back under my blanket, and I did a load of writing on this lead magnet that I'm working on that I wanted to get done, and I did it like on the sofa under a blanket, so I wasn't like, I'm going to work. And so I did, and then I watched Schitt's Creek until Joe got home. And lovely. And it was really nice. And I am still gutted that I didn't get to go to Wales for the day, but I did have a really nice day. So yes, thank you. That did help.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So just thinking how you can frame your recovery. How long has the doctor said you're going to take to get over this pneumonia rubbish?
He said, I'm going to have a cough for weeks. He said that when he had it, he coughed for 7 weeks, and I was just like, brilliant. That sounds great.
Okay. So, and does that mean you've got kind of 7 weeks from now?
I don't know. I'm like, because this is like week 5 now of feeling rough. And the thing is, like, I've had my antibiotics, which I don't think have really done anything.
Mhm.
And I feel worse the last few days than I did last week. So I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So now's the time to really up the self-care and the rest. And I do sort of understand how it's going to be different for you because you have the hyperactivity element. But is there anything that you feel that will feel like a real indulgence, a real treat, a bit like the croissant under a duvet feeling that you can do regularly, like something you can do every day that just feels like you're properly being nice to yourself and making something good out of this illness?
I reckon that I could spend half an hour every day on my comfy chair just over there with the book that I'm reading and a cup of tea and just be like, right, I'm just going to do that in the warm. Like, I'm going to make the room too warm. And,
Oh
like,
yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's good because it's like when you see, you know, the week stretching ahead of you, and it's like I'm not going to feel normal for quite a long time now. Instead of have you ever seen the Chinese finger puzzles?
yeah, the ones where you're like,
Ones where if anyone's looking at it, if you haven't seen them, just check them out online. They're these little woven devices that you put your fingers in, and if you try and pull your fingers straight out again, they clamp up and you can't get out of them. And the way to get out is just kind of relax into it. And maybe you just need to relax into being ill, Vix, and stop being cross with it and just go, do you know what? Everybody's got a time to be ill. This just happens to be my time, and I'm going to make the most of it.
you mean that maybe not complaining about it might make me feel better?
Right. It might, if you just, because you know what we're like, we're all tend to be like hyper focus on things, and I know sometimes when I'm ill I can hyper focus and just get really irritated with it and just feel fuck my life.
Yeah.
But actually, if we look at something else to focus on, just chill out and just think, what is good about this? This is good because how often do you get permission to read Sophie Kinsella for half an hour every day?
Yeah, that's true. Actually, it's I'm reading The Remains of the Day now. I finished Sophie.
Oh, The Remains of the Day you finished. So, oh, that's much more grown up. But The Remains of the Day, I watched that film the other day. It's just a great.
I've never seen the film.
Yeah, it is.
Is it Daniel Day-Lewis, isn't it?
Is it Daniel Day-Lewis? It's definitely got Anthony Hopkins in it.
Right.
He's the butler. It might be Daniel Day-Lewis, but I can't remember. I'm not very good on actors. But it's actually a nice soothing film to watch as well. There's lots of just like nice music and everything's calm in it.
Oh, that's what the book is like so far. It's just like it's sublime is the word for it. It's just lovely. And like I love Kazuo Ishiguro anyway. His
Right.
fab. But yeah, I've never read it before, so
Oh yeah. Do you know what? I'm tempted to read it myself.
yeah.
It's just like I'm sure the book is twice as good as the film. It often goes that way, doesn't it? But
It's so beautiful. He's such a beautiful writer. So yeah, he's cool.
yeah. So I think that you should just relax and just think, okay, how am I going to make the most of this next few weeks? Because it won't be long before you're back at full speed again, doing everything. And it's like, yeah, this is happening at the perfect time for me right now.
Maybe I will have like a pastry every day with it as well then. I'm like, oh, yeah, like a little pastry.
Have you got a nice pastry shop near you that you can?
Well, yes, there is actually. There's a bakery. I wouldn't say it's nice, but it's adequate. So yes, it's
Right.
Yeah. I'm definitely not going to have my £3.50 croissant every day. That's a ridiculous amount of money.
But maybe once a week.
Maybe once a week, yeah.
Yeah, and you can gauge your recovery and how many delicious cherry and almond croissants you will get before you're better.
I love that idea. Thank you. Yes.
You're very welcome. I really hope you feel much better soon because I think this is a useful topic to cover. the way our brains work and the way we can hyper focus on things and get very irritated quite quickly.
It is, and I think that's the thing is like people say, "Oh, how are you doing?" Because like obviously people know I've been ill because I cough everywhere, and like part of me is like, don't ask, because if they ask, I will tell them, and I'm like, I am so boring. I'm boring myself. I must be boring you. I don't want to like, and so it's the hyper focus thing is like everybody's more interested in themselves than anything else anyway. That's just like because humans be humaning, but
Yeah.
like I'm just like, oh my god, I'm so boring, and I'll like float out of my own body, and I'll be like, stop, shut up, stop talking about it, like stop.
It's also important to tell people if you're struggling a bit as well, isn't it? Because people need to communicate and know that you're not able to do all the things that you could.
But then also doing other things is really useful, because like yesterday we were at the studio and I was helping my friend with her trapeze stuff, and like for that half hour I did feel a bit better because I wasn't I was focused on something else, on something outside of myself. And then we had the instructors meeting at the studio, and again that was really nice because even though I was feeling shitty, I wasn't focused on it. I was focused on what we were doing, and it just helps. It doesn't make you feel physically much better, but mentally it really helps, because it's just like I'm not like focused inwards on my misery. So
and it's, you know what, to a lesser extent, that is what I've learned in hypnotherapy about pain relief, is that one of the things you can do to help yourself if you've got a pain in a certain part of your body is to focus on a part of your body that doesn't hurt, and really put all your attention in that part. And that, again, it's like it's taking your focus off what doesn't feel good, isn't it? And that's what you've done by just going out and socializing just for a little while.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like I was still coughing, but it wasn't as bad because the coughing was still happening. But it was like, it was just like you're not focusing on it. So
yeah. And I sort of feel like I need to be careful is not to diminish people's experience of illness or pain and make you say, oh, it's all in your head, just stop thinking about it. I think it's more a case of just to remind yourself that there are ways you can get a brief relief from how shitty it all feels.
Yeah. And also, like, it is in our heads. It's not only in our heads, but it's all in our heads, because our brains are part of our bodies, and like we are complete organisms. So it makes sense that if you are, focusing on stuff outside of you, then by the very nature of it, it's gonna hurt less because you're not looking at it. You're doing that over there. And I just think that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, good. So you can put some of this stuff to work then. Just ease up on yourself and enjoy the illness.
Enjoy the illness, yeah. You know what, this is so funny though, because like, isn't this exactly what we were talking about a few weeks ago when we were like, oh, when you feel really overwhelmed, you kind of hope you're going to get sick. And now I'm sick, I've got my wish, and I'm like, I'm just complaining about it, and I'm just like, God, I'm never happy.
The grass is always greener with you, isn't it? God.
It's such a nightmare. I feel like people that watch this and they're just like, oh my God, she's such a nightmare. And I'm like, yes, I am.
Do you know what's more worrying is when we were talking about you and your like hospital fantasies, I was talking about prison fantasies. So let's hope that one doesn't come true.
Oh God, I'm like, what? So next week we'll be coming live to you from like
Scrubs.
Live from Woodward Scrubs, where we will be finding out what Vicky has done this time.
Oh my God. In case anybody's watching this that hasn't seen the previous ones, our hospital and prison fantasies are all to do with just having an excuse to just get out of our own lives and just be put in a little corner somewhere so that we can just be by ourselves.
Yes.
It's not that's all it is. There's nothing more complicated than
yeah. And it's like, whilst also being like, we're very lucky that we are fit and healthy, generally healthy, and not incarcerated, but it's like, it's that like I'm over explaining now because I don't want people to like get pissed off, but it's that like unhinged fantasy that it's like, and I think I've heard a lot of people say this, it's like, if I could just fall down the stairs and break a leg, then I wouldn't have to, and it's like that I think is quite a common thing. So it's like,
it is, and I think a little bit like any kind of intrusive thought, it's quite natural to have these odd, weird kind of, oh, why am I thinking that? I must be a freak thoughts.
Yes. And it's okay. And it's like, and we need to stop, like, because I could just like hear the backlash from Instagram now, and it's like, oh, you're so privileged, blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, I am very privileged, and also it's a normal human thought, so shut up. Like, it's okay to have those thoughts because they're thoughts, and you know. yeah,
exactly. You know, it's one of the things that I learned when I was depressed and anxious, actually, was all about intrusive thoughts, and I didn't even know that was a thing before.
No.
And I mean, one of my favorite ones, which I've come to enjoy now and not fear, is when I'm in meetings and I suddenly have thoughts of, okay, what if I walked up to that person and just like messed with the hair and or did something just completely ridiculous. And sometimes I feel I have to sit on my hands to stop myself doing ridiculous things when I'm supposed to be very sensible and attentive. And that must be something that lots of ADHD people feel, as they suddenly go off on weird little like scenarios in their head about how this could be very different. What if I suddenly flashed my boobs at everybody? That kind of thing.
Okay, so this is my cue. We should do a whole episode on our intrusive thoughts at some point. But like, I was standing next to my friend a few months ago. This is the kind of thing that sticks in your head. And I was like, what's that? Have you hurt yourself? And she's like, oh no, that's just my HRT patch. And my brain was like, lick it. And it was on her upper thigh. And I was like, no, that's gross. What? And my brain was like, lick it. And then other times I'll be like walking past somebody in like a coffee shop, and they'll be on their laptop, and I'll be like, flip the laptop. Flip it as you go past.
I love that. I love that. Do you know what? It must be normal. We can't be the only people that think like that.
So if you're listening to this, please share your intrusive thoughts in the comments, because that'd make us feel so much better.
It would. But yeah, we ought to do every time we say we're going to do a whole episode on that. We always forget what we're going to do, but maybe intrusive thoughts might be
we can actually do a bit of research on it. I'm going to write it down on my thing. Research intrusive thoughts.
Yeah, brilliant. Cool.
Okay, good. Right.
Let's draw this to a conclusion so we can like finish before we break you. And hopefully I'll see you next week. But obviously,
I think so. I'm determined. Yeah, I'm determined. Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you for therapy.
You're very welcome. And I just want to know, give me an update on how Remains of the Day go, because that might be one of the few fiction novels I will read.
Awesome. I will let you know. So far, it's beautiful, but I'm only like one chapter in. So
okay. All right, Vix. See you next week.
Have a great week.
All right. Bye-bye.